and Taylor Dahl.
Hey, hey.
This is Helmets and Heels
On 1010XL, switched on by First Coast Lighting and Fans. Upscale lighting, fans, and home decor.
Show me what you got, pretty lady.
Taylor Dahl is here. JoJo Selva filling in, hanging out with us today. Mia O'Brien on vacation until next week. And shockingly, Taylor, she's missing the biggest story in all of the NFL, that the Steelers are going to trade for Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars, even though, well, I don't know, they have just given him a contract extension recently, before this past season, I should say, and basically are designing the entire franchise around him. Yeah, they're fine with that. It's funny, that story was tweeted out today by someone who I've never heard of, and he doesn't cover the NFL, and that's fine. You can still break stories like that. But I don't think that there's any validity to it. I think you're already seeing multiple people that have knowledge completely refute it. You can move along, Jaguars fans. It's not an accurate thing. But it does remind me, one time we were at SEC Media Days several years ago, and the news broke from a reporter that wasn't verified on Twitter that Texas and Oklahoma were joining the SEC. Mm-hmm. And so, of course, the first thing everyone does, all the reporters there, or try and get a hold of Greg Sankey, who was in the building, and then try and verify, that story on their own. And that one ended up being true. A reporter, I forget his name now, but he worked for the Houston Chronicle. This one, I don't think is that at all. I don't think that this guy is breaking any news. This Ryan Bond. Trevor Lawrence is not getting traded away from the Jaguars. Look at, like I said, his contract. Liam Cohen wouldn't have taken this job if the Jaguars were trading him away. And certainly we heard from Tony Baselli on Monday morning with the drill how bullish he is on Trevor and that he can win a Super Bowl here. So every Jags fan, just relax. Although I suppose there are some of those Trevor haters that maybe have got maybe were excited.
Well, first of all, I don't think he wasn't saying he was being traded. He was saying the Steelers called the Jags, which I wouldn't not believe that. I would say it could happen. I've heard crazier things. Teams call all the time in the offseason, or like just to get an idea, like, hey, would you, or what would be the asking price, or what are your thoughts on this?
That's a wasted phone call here, just like it would be a wasted phone call to Patrick Mahomes.
The Bears a month ago called the Steelers to ask if they could have Mike Tomlin. Like, these phone calls happen in the offseason. It's crazy. You never know what a conversation is going to have. It also just gives you an idea of the market and what certain value is for players, an idea. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Steelers called and were just like, hey, we just want to get an idea of what this would be worth. Is it a hard no? Is it and I'm sure the conversation probably wasn't like, hey, we want Trevor. What are you going to take for him? It was probably a longer conversation if it was had.
I wonder who they called. Ethan Waugh, the interim GM?
Yeah, and that's why I don't know. But I've seen multiple now where it does, like, multiple reports saying they did call and ask, but nobody's reported that he was being traded. So that's the one thing, like, everybody relax, because it's different. Like, read these a little bit better. It didn't say Trevor Lawrence is possibly going to be traded to the Steelers. It said the Steelers called to ask. And so I do think those conversations are had, a lot more of them probably we even know, when it comes to organizations calling organizations just to get information. And just as we're talking about yesterday of interviewing guys like an Ethan Waugh and some of these general managers that maybe people, and just kind of doing the due diligence of talking to people and getting information. It's the same thing when people call around the league.
I can understand the Bears inquiring about Mike Tomlin, because a lot of chatter was the fact that obviously Steelers fans were over him for quite some time, but also that he may want a fresh start and things like that. To me, inquiring about a guy that the organization just gave over
but that organization is gone pretty much
to.
So,
but the owner's the one who signed. The owner hasn't changed.
Yeah.
Obviously, Shad fully believes in Trevor. So if they called, interesting, I guess is what I'll say. Either way, like I said, Trevor's going to be the quarterback here, and I think today's press conferences shed some light a little bit on how excited Grant Udinski, the new offensive coordinator, is to work with both Liam Cohen and with Trevor Lawrence. And we talked a lot about the fact that Grant worked alongside Kevin O'Connell there in Minnesota in the transformation for Sam Darnold. Well, Grant was asked earlier today how Kevin O'Connell impacted him.
Yeah, well, how much time do we have? But he influenced me in probably more ways than I even recognize, to be honest with you. In terms of the game, seeing the pass game, seeing how you build an offense, seeing how you teach an offense and build that progression, and then most importantly, probably the quarterback position, how you develop that starting from the ground up, laying the foundation and scaffolding things in a true progression that allows those guys to learn and grow in an environment that maximizes their chance of success. So I could probably go on for hours about what that kind of process looks like. But from a football standpoint, he kind of covers all the bases in terms of you learn things explicitly and implicitly in terms of just concepts or certain schemes and philosophies, but all the way down to the detail on how those concepts are executed or how those concepts are implemented or how those concepts are game planned. I think that's something that he does at a really high level, and the results kind of speak for itself with him and the success he's had there in Minnesota and even prior to that. And then on top of that, my role, I was in a very fortunate position to be with him and spend so much time with him, seeing the connector that he is and the type of person that he is and the impact that he has on people's lives, not just in the meeting room and with us as coaches or with the players, but even beyond with the entire organization. From everybody in that building or everyone that walks through that building feels his impact and his presence and the culture that he's set there. And that pays dividends and kind of has a ripple effect beyond his immediate reach.
Did you notice, Taylor, as each of the coordinators spoke, Grant Udinski, the offensive coordinators who we just heard from, and then, of course, defensive coordinator and special teams coordinators spoke as well, and Anthony Campanile and Heath Farwell, respectively, they didn't talk that much X's and O's today. It was a lot more about the personalities that they're going to be working with, why they chose here, in Heath Farwell's case, why he wanted to stay here. Yeah. And I get it. They're new to Jacksonville, and as far as they're still evaluating the players that they have, and they're not trying to give different things away. I understand all that. But it really does matter when you're going to be spending 14 to 16 hours a day at times working that closely with these people, leaving your family behind for significant stretches of time. It matters the people you work with.
Yeah. And Campanile even said that in one part of his is he kind of mentioned he hasn't super dove into a lot of things because he's been looking more so at the personnel he has and the players that he's going to be working with, and then also getting to know all of the coaching staff that now you do have to get along. And you're to your point, you're spending a lot of time with these guys, and you have to learn the checks and balances of everything. And I feel like that's something that has been lacking here, honestly, for a few years, because at the end of the last few seasons, there's been a lot of finger pointing rather than accountability of, okay, this was on us and this was on this side. And at the end of last year, that goes to that, not this December, but last December, it goes back to that time too, when at the end, all of a sudden, when the entire coaching staff was fired and everybody was like, hold on, what's going on? Pest Taylor should have been fired. The offense completely collapsed at the end of the season. And then you started hearing all of these things come out about some of the issues in the defense. But why did that wait until December for things like that to start coming out? And I think it was because you didn't have these people in the building who felt like they were on the same team. It felt like they were almost like trying to save themselves over making a better product as a whole.
Yeah, when we talk about culture, everyone said, well, the culture was good. I think the culture in the locker room was pretty good. Like, I think those guys got along well with one another.
Which I think can happen. I think it can separate to where you have these players get along and you have, but then that almost makes it worse because you have this divisiveness between coaches and players, which is the last thing you want.
Yeah, I think there was a bad culture when it comes to the relationships between the front office, the coaching staff, and then within the coaching staff as well. And so, yeah, that definitely trickles down. You know, it's like when the parents are fighting and the kids here. The kids weren't fighting, but the parents were fighting. Well, then now everybody's tense, right? And I mean, there's obviously a lot that went wrong. And when asked about it today, of course, the coordinators were going to look to the future. They're not going to try and break down everything that went wrong last year. But when it comes to the defense, what is Anthony Campanile's vision?
I think the most important thing you talk about when you talk about defense is your play style. You know, my vision for us defensively, we want to be a tough, fast, physical, violent at the point of attack team. What does that mean? All right, that means that you got guys who take pride in not getting blocked. Everybody talks about running to the ball. I don't think there's another person in the world who believes in running to the ball more than I do. But you can't run to the ball if you don't get all the blocks. And that is something that's going to be celebrated in our room. It's going to be celebrated in the culture of our team. You know, there's going to be there's a point in every play where somebody tries to block you, right? Your passion to not stay blocked is really what makes plays on defense. You know, coaching, scheme, all that stuff, that's great, like really important. But at the end of the day, the players win the game. You know, and the violence at the point of attack, the effort, the strain, and the finish that it takes to not stay blocked and run to the football, That's what really creates a great defense. We want guys that are going to play with their shoulders square, be able to read everybody's number and name tag every play, and attack contact, never turn it down. Those are tenets of a great defense. Those are tenets of all the great defenses in the history of football and the great defenses I've ever been around. But we had, when I watch that on the tape, when I watch the guys here, I see a lot of that. I see great effort, great strain, and meeting these guys. We got a lot of great people in here, guys I'm excited to coach. And like, you just asked about Liam, he's about the same things. He wants strain, he wants effort, and that's the environment I want to be in every day, and I know we can succeed in.
That's the cool part of the offseason is we're going to get to see, and especially in training camp too, Liam Cohen's offensive mastermind now against first-time defensive coordinator Anthony Campanille's mastermind, right? Who wins those battles day in and day out? And yes, normally in training camp, the defense is a little ahead of the offense. I don't know that that's going to be the case here now because of all the time and effort that Liam's going to put into radically changing this offense and making it efficient. And I look forward to those battles. I'm sure they do as well.
Yeah, and I mean, we said the same thing this last offseason that we couldn't wait until this offense was going against Ryan Nielsen's attack-style defense, and that didn't work very well. But I do think that he used a lot of words, and I was talking about this to Mike during the 2-minute drill. The word violent, I love, because I think, and I keep going back to this last year when Doug Peterson was asked about the defense being aggressive or the team playing aggressive, and he kind of laughed at it and was like, football's an aggressive sport. Like, of course. Physical sport, yeah. And I'm like, okay, but there's different levels of physicality, and you can see that. The Eagles, a very, very physical team on both sides of the ball. That's why they ended up winning the Super Bowl. And so to me, him kind of scoffing at that and pushing it aside really bothered me last year. And even more so, it's now pointing out that the coaches that can identify that there is a whole different level, and when you're using words like Campanile just did with violent and Liam Cohen did a couple weeks ago and savages, like those words, those coaches know that there's a whole different level to this side of things. And yes, we want to talk about it starting in the trenches, but that's everywhere. The amount of times we saw defensive players missing tackles this last season in the wrong spot, not lining up right. There's so many problems, and all of that comes down to, some of it is related to coaching, but some of it I also just think is there's certain points where these players, I don't know if they were fully understanding what Ryan Nielsen was asking of them. And so I do think that from what I've heard from Campanile, from what I've heard of people when we were talking to Peter Bukowski, and now that I've talked to more people in that Packers organization about him, he is one of those guys that is going to be asking for perfection in those areas. And I think that adds just a whole other level to the execution on the field.
I love the sentiment of the getting off your blocks.
Yeah.
I don't think that that's something this defense did very well. I think a couple players did it well, and those are the edge guys that everyone knows about, and Josh Hines Allen and Trayvon Walker. But I don't know that
kind of ended there.
Yeah, I really don't know that there were a lot of other guys that their mentality was to make sure they fought off their block.
Yeah.
I certainly don't think Eric Armstead last year was that guy. Now, granted, he was injured coming here from San Francisco, and
also wasn't playing in his
right. And Campanile was asked about that today. He's like, yeah, he's had success as a defensive tackle. He's obviously not going to throw former coaches under the bus. In the NFL, you're never going to do that. But of course, he's he's well aware. We are well aware. I'm sure that the narratives that are surrounding the Jaguars organization the last couple seasons, whether it's offensively or defensively, the fact that the offense was antiquated, the fact that the defense was just plain miserable. I'm sure that those narratives get around the NFL, and so he's fully aware, and certainly Grant Udinski, Liam Cohen, they're also fully aware. We will keep it on the Jaguars when we return. You are listening to Helmets and Heels on 1010XL, 92.5 FM.
Follow the JU Dolphins on 1010XL.
The Dolphins splash down in Arkansas against the Bears. JU Central Arkansas, tonight at 7:30 on 1010 AM.
Don't miss the Players' Championship, March 11th through 16th at TPC Sawgrass. This can't-miss event features a variety of activities for every fan to enjoy, from delicious bites to the Sawgrass Splash. There are endless fan enhancements that will make for a memorable experience. Plus, watch the top PGA Tour players, including back-to-back champion Scotty Scheffler, take on the iconic stadium course featuring the famous Island Green. Tickets available at theplayers.com.
Mia here. New Year's resolutions are upon us, but let's be honest, it's February and that gym membership is already a $50 per month guilt trip. Why not take that cash and finally fix that leaky faucet, unclog that drain, or tune up your AC? Duck Duck Rooter Plumbing, Septic, and Air Conditioning has your back. Visit duckduckrooter.com or call today, 904-862-6769. Start the year off fresh. No leaks, no clogs, no excuses. Duck Duck Rooter, 904-862-6769. Did you know your pup could take 30,000 to 60,000 steps a day at Dogtopia of Jacksonville Beach Boulevard? That's a whole lot of tail wagging fun with their best furry friends. At Dogtopia, they turn playtime into exercise, learning, and socialization in their off-leash, open play environment. Dogs build confidence, reduce anxiety, and stay happy and healthy, all while having the time of their lives. Visit Dogtopia of Jacksonville Beach Boulevard today.
Pizza to Tea here, and Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here it's bigger game days and bolder fight nights. I mean, where else can you find the scratch kitchen that comes through in the clutch every day, from lunch to late night? Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar. Come on, somebody.
Start your Sunday off with a cup of Joe and some sports medicine intel. This is Joe C. inviting you to join me and Dr. George Bari for Breaking Bones every Sunday morning at 7:30. And if you miss an episode, just look for Breaking Bones wherever you listen to podcasts.
Hey folks, Mike Dempsey here for Pella Windows and Doors. Look, it's kind of cooling down right now. I love opening my windows up this time of year. If you're looking to upgrade your windows in your home, I want you to visit the Pella showroom on Phillips Highway. Ask about their latest hurricane and impact-resistant windows and doors, rated #1 by Consumer Reports in all 3 main window categories. You want quality, style, and protection? Visit PellaJacks.com and the showroom on Phillips Highway just north of Bay Meadows. That's Pella Windows and Doors online at PellaJacks.com.
If you're cooking for your sweetheart this weekend, Southern Steer Butcher has you covered. An easy-choose Valentine's Day special menu with the best meats in town. Full V-Day flyer at southernsteer.com.
For tasty tips and juicy breasts, choose Southern Steer Butcher.
Follow Florida Gators men's basketball on 1010XL. Brought to you by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. And by Renewal by Anderson, the official window and door replacement partner of the Florida Gators.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
Slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
Have you or someone you care about been arrested or had their driver's license taken away? I'm Susan Cohen, and I work with David Robbins at the law firm of Epstein & Robbins. We are experienced fighters for those charged with DUI and all criminal offenses. I've been named the best DUI attorney in the state, and David has been named the best criminal defense lawyer in Jacksonville. In your battle with the justice system, there is only one thing you need to know. Dial David 24/7 at Epstein & Robbins, 354-5645.
If someone you love needs a pick-me-up, then it's time to get serious about it and send them a Kuhn floral arrangement. Max Fink here with 1010XL. You'll be assured of quality delivery, that's for sure. Log on and order online at kuhnflowers.com.
With 50 years of fabrication expertise in towing products, the family at Cannons of Jacksonville can repair or install precisely what you need to tow with confidence. Visit cannonsofjacks.com, where quality and customer satisfaction collide.
This is Mike Lynch, PGA Golf Professional. Take it from me, if you're dealing with an orthopedic issue, talk to the doctors at Southeast Orthopedic Specialists, where you're treated like a pro.
This is Dr. Kevin Murphy with Southeast Orthopedic Specialists, where athletes are treated like pros. Thanks to all of you who have allowed us to be part of your recovery. Call us at Southeast Orthopedic Specialists if you ever have a need.
Relieve pain and get back to life. Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
1010
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
This is Helmets and Heels.
Kept classy by First Coast Lighting and Fans. Upscale lighting, fans, and home decor.
On 1010XL.
I'm so glad you're playing this song, JJ, because I forgot to mention last week it would have been Bob Marley's 80th birthday on February 6th. But unfortunately, he passed away at age 36 due to skin cancer, so we lost him far too young. Bob Marley is one of my favorite artists. How can you be in a bad mood when you listen to Bob Marley?
Honestly, it's one of those ones that definitely, I remember going back, my mom listened to a lot of Bob Marley when I was younger, and I have vivid memories of when the weather first started warming up. So around this time of year, and you're kind of getting that spring cleaning done, she would always open all the windows and sliding glass door and blast Bob Marley, and it was just such a vibe. Even as a kid, I'm like, this is just, it makes you feel good. And I didn't know what we were singing about, but obviously the love I do. But
yeah, well, and certainly a lot of his songs, have more meaning to it. For me, that artist, when you're talking about the weather warming up in vacations too, is Jimmy Buffett.
Yeah.
We listened to a lot of Jimmy Buffett as a kid, and it was always time to pull out the bathing suits and go to the beach and all that fun stuff. But Bob Marley is incredible, and so happy birthday in heaven, 80th birthday. Like I said, that was on February 6th. All right, one more cut I want to play from Anthony Campanile, since we want to focus a lot on improving this Jaguars defense and how does he improve the run defense.
I don't think it's that challenging. I mean, maybe I shouldn't say that, but I have a very good idea. There's probably a better way to say that, of what I want to do, and doing that with the people we have in the building. I think what we want to do, part of the reason why this job was appealing, is I think with the people in the building, what I want this defense to be, it's a pretty good match. It's a pretty good fit. I feel like a lot of those guys fit into what we want to do, and they're going to have an opportunity to do it really, really well. And to me, that's on us, how hard we coach them, how well we coach them. I feel like we got some really good pieces in place to do that, to execute the scheme.
I actually like how he started one way. I don't think it's that challenging. Well, let me not say that, because actually I did watch a lot of the film. Yeah, I did watch a lot of the film, and maybe it wasn't so good. He also said how he's really familiar with the linebackers, because he's been a linebackers coach, and so he's followed these guys in the draft and now, of course, in the NFL as well. And so it is going to be fascinating to see how different the linebacking group and of course, the defense overall looks when the games actually start in September.
Yeah, and this one, I loved this one because this is something, obviously, you talk about a lot, and this is why we have been talking about a defensive tackle a lot, too, and just the defensive front in general. But when you go back and you look at what just in 1 year Anthony Campanile was able to do in Green Bay is fantastic. The 2 seasons before that, they had a bottom 5 rushing defense, and they still allowed a decent amount of rushing touchdowns this year, but I do think part of that was because a lot of teams weren't throwing on them because their secondary was so good, so you were having to run the ball to be able to score. But I also think that when you look at just the yardage per game and first downs and stuff like that in the run defense, he turned a defense that was their biggest weakness the year before, and I think it was bottom 5 in 2024 and bottom 6 in 2023, and then made him a top 5 unit when it just comparably against the run. And so I do think that's something that you have to focus on. They did add some pieces in Green Bay too, because that's part of it, is not just becoming complacent and thinking that a new coach is going to come in here and magically fix all of the pieces that you have. I do think that it's going to be something that the Jaguars are going to have to address. You do need a little bit more personnel, and we've talked about that. And you do hope that some of these year 2 guys coming in really help to, like a Mason Smith and a Jordan Jefferson and guys like that.
And a year 3 guy in Ventrell Miller.
And a Ventrell Miller. And then also moving Eric where you want Eric Armstead to be.
Ventrell totally fits the description of that first answer that Campanile said about, especially the violence and the playing square with the shoulders and attacking the ball. Ventrell and Foye, obviously, Foye Luke, and he's just a veteran. Talking about young guys in Ventrell, those are the types of guys you wonder how much better can they get, and you wonder too how does he feel about Chad Muma?
Yeah, and something that I think is an underrated part of Trayvon Walker too is we talk about his pass rush a lot, but he's really good against the run too, and that's one of the things that has kind of stood out with him, but people don't talk about enough when they talk about it. Yeah, it's not in, but that's why somebody like Jared Verse had such the season he did, and comparably to a Dallas Turner. And that's the reason I liked a Jared Verse, is because they're able to set the edge and they're able to rush the passer. And when you have somebody who can do both, it does benefit, especially in a guy like Campanile's kind of the system and scheme, which that was another thing he said that really stood out to me too. And because I feel like so much we focus on that like 4-3 or 3-4 and what is this? And he used the word malleable. And he said, pretty much, I'm trying to think of the exact way he said it. Great coaches find ways to be malleable to the scheme. And I loved that because it bothered me so much the last few years that you feel like, okay, this is what we said we're going to do, so we're going to do it. Same with Ryan Nielsen. It was almost too much. Like, oh, I'm this guy that likes these rotations and this is what's going to work. You didn't have the players to do that. So why do you keep pushing that throughout the season? And so I feel like in this tone, Campanile is saying, hey, I'll be able to identify the talent and we'll make the scheme based on that rather than saying, let's make the scheme and then try and make all of these players into something they're not.
He also said 4-2-5, like, because, oh, by the way, that's sometimes a common formation.
Especially
so
now.
It's not
You're seeing
right.
that a lot
Exactly.
more.
Yeah, you're seeing more of the defensive backs.
Yeah.
And for people who don't pay that close of attention, 4-3 versus 3-4, 4-2-5, it's really more. Are you going to call your defensive ends or your edge rushers defensive ends? Or are you going to call them outside linebackers?
Yeah.
And how many guys do you want lined up there on the interior?
And that 4-2-5,
front?
that you're definitely, if he's saying that, then you definitely need to address the secondary because that you're going to need two really strong outside corners for that. Obviously, you're confident in Jarian Jones, so it must be something he sees in him to know that he can be that nickel corner. But also your safeties, those are so important in that. And so you've got a lot of work to do in that realm.
We have tons of time to talk about it, but it does feel like safety is a position that they might want to address in free agency.
Yeah.
And there are some good ones out there. And I do think that certainly when it comes to the draft, that's important too, right? That's how they got Andre Cisco and how do they evaluate him. But I do think a veteran safety, and veteran in the NFL really just means you've been in the league for 4 years.
Yeah.
So it's not like I'm saying old, but I think a veteran
We're not saying
safety,
like 8-year guy.
And if
it could be.
Yeah,
but,
it could be. I mean,
but two of the top ones this last
Rayshon
year.
Jenkins had been in the league for a while and was great.
Yeah, but I think that two of the ones that went this last season, and Xavier McKinney and both Kevin Byard, both veteran guys that went to a new team and both sat in the top 10 at their safety position in this last season. So you are very capable of getting a veteran, a guy that's been in the league 4 to 7 years at that safety position that can come in and fit the scheme very quickly. And then it's not such an urgent need in the draft. I still think you would probably look at it. There's several good safeties in this draft too. And we've talked about a lot of them, Xavier Watts being one. But that is hearing him talk and the importance of that. If he's wanting to do that 4-2-5, you're going to have to address the safety.
And yes, Antonio Johnson, they drafted somewhat recently, but didn't really play to the level that was expected of him. I would say this season got benched, and that's when you saw Darnell Savage kind of switch positions from nickel to then safety. And so, again, I would love to get the candid answers of these guys. Like, what do you think of Cisco? What do you think of Antonio Johnson? Savage, I'm sure, has the familiarity with because of the Packers connection. And, what are your thoughts on Monteric Brown, for instance, who I think played fairly well this past season when called upon. But those are all the things we're not going to know, obviously, until pretty much training camp starts. But it's fun to try and figure out, based off of reading between the lines, figure out some things. I want to get your thoughts on the other side, Taylor, about the Jaguars interviewing John Robinson, the former Titans general manager, what that could mean. We've got a lot to do here on Helmets and Heels on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Jaguars, Gators, Seminoles. Jacksonville's football station is 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Hey, Jacksonville, I'm sure by now you've seen our bright green GFL trucks and containers throughout the greater Jacksonville area. We are an industry leader in solid waste and would love the opportunity to earn your business. We are committed to customer service, reliability, and have unwavering focus on safety. Whether commercial or construction, let us haul your waste away. Call 904-760-5880 to get a quote today. GFL, green for life.
Lauren Brooks here. At Hodges Mazda, they are proud of their solid reputation in the Jacksonville community. As your hometown Mazda dealer, their high customer service standards and their huge inventory of new and used cars provide their customers a consistently first-rate car buying experience. Their professional non-commissioned sales team put your best interests first without exception. And all new vehicle purchases include the Hodges Mazda Protection Package. Visit them online at HodgesMazda.com or stop in the showroom today to learn more and discover the Hodges Mazda difference.
Attention homeowners, Chelsea here. For a limited time, Renewal by Andersen is making it easy to upgrade your home during our free window month. When you buy 4 windows or patio doors, you'll get 1 free. Our exclusive Fibrex material delivers the perfect combination of energy efficiency, durability, and style. Perfect for your home makeover this season. But hurry, this offer won't last long. Visit bestwindowsflorida.com to schedule your free consultation today. Renewal by Andersen, the better way to a better window. Restrictions apply. See website for details. License number CGC 1527613.
Visit Monahan Jewelers now through Valentine's Day for savings on all GIA certified diamonds and discounts store-wide up to 40% off. And interest-free financing on all purchases. Certified diamonds, gemstones, engagement rings, diamond studs, designer brands. Monahan's has it all. We're not a chain store. We're your local family jeweler since 1977 with a world-class inventory of fine jewelry and diamonds and gemstones available in any size. Support your local family jeweler now through Valentine's with huge savings in our inventory. Monahan Jewelers in Atlantic Beach.
If you are an experienced electrician looking for your next big opportunity, look no further than the Miller Electric Company, a trusted name in the industry for over 96 years. At Miller Electric, we tackle the biggest projects in the city, offering you the chance to showcase your skills on a grand scale. We believe in rewarding hard work with the best pay, top-notch benefits, and an unbeatable culture where people actually care about each other. Take your career to new heights with Miller Electric Company. Apply today at millercareers.com. Miller Electric, an equal opportunity employer.
This date in sports history is brought to you by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
On February 13, 1990, Larry Bird of the Boston Celtics ended his NBA free throw streak of 71 games as he missed his 4th attempt in a game against the Houston Rockets.
3D Digital has you covered for any of your business's digital marketing needs. From producing award-winning videos to getting those digital ads to follow your customers around the internet, our team has your back. Visit 3ddigital.com or give us a call at 904-712-4004 to schedule a free consultation today. 904-712-4004.
Hi, I'm Mac with Baker Glass. Are you tired of wrestling with your old shower curtain? Then say goodbye to the curtain chaos and hello to a new frameless shower enclosure. Wago Glass is clear, classy, and won't stick to you like a toddler at bedtime. Plus, it makes your bathroom look bigger and brighter. Upgrade your shower experience and step into style. Call me at Baker Glass and get ready to love your new glass shower enclosure. Baker Glass, no one treats you better.
Hey folks, Nick here for Zero Res, and if you still have a little bit of time for the hottest price of the year on carpet cleaning, maybe you had people over for the game or you're doing early spring cleaning, but in February, only $147 for 3 rooms, plus the 4th room is free. That's right, schedule now and you'll get 3 rooms for $147, and the 4th room is free. Yeah, the 4th room is on me. Hottest price of the year. Zero Res. Spell it forward, spell it backwards. Zero Res. It's the right way to clean.
C-E-R-O-R-E-C. Zero Res.
Frank Frangie here for Stanley Pools. If you're dreaming of putting in a pool this year, choosing the right company is the most important decision you'll make. I've trusted Stanley Pools to build my pool, renovate my pool, and maintain my pool. Stanley Pools has been the best in the business since 1988, and they're still family owned. Call them today at 904-269-7277 or find them online at StanleyPoolsFL.com. That's Stanley Pools, a family tradition of fine swimming pools.
If you're tired of weekend projects turning into weekend disasters, you're not alone. Building a fence isn't as easy as it looks. And let's face it, your neighbor still hasn't fixed his lopsided masterpiece. But Superior Fence and Rail makes it easy. Highly trained professionals, top quality materials, and a fence you'll love for years to come. Skip the stress and call the pros today.
When you're on the fence, about the fence, SuperiorFenceandRail.com.
This is Hayes Carline here to help you break free from the chains of pest infestation. The talk of this town is Kingfish Pest Control. By now, many of your neighbors have already joined the Kingfish Revolution, leaving their homes and lawns protected and pest-free. Now it's your turn. Call Kingfish Pest Control and say goodbye to termites, ants, mosquitoes, and other annoying pests. Trust me, you'll get exceptional service and understand why your neighbors and I use Kingfish Pest Control, proud partner of the Jaguars.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Helmets and Heels is switched on by
First Coast Lighting and Fans.
Upscale lighting, fans, and home decor on 1010XL.
Taylor Dahl, JJ LaSelva filling in for RJ Saunders. I'm Lauren Brooks with you. Mia O'Brien on vacation until Tuesday of next week. Demetrius Harvey, by the way, when it comes to this one tweet that said that the Steelers were making a call to see if they could trade for Trevor Lawrence, he said that it's not happening. In fact, there was never even a call. So more information on that on the Times Union's website. And then Gene Fournette also tweeted out that the refute is laughable. So again, I know nowadays with social media, these things can be set ablaze, basically.
Yeah.
And so the more information we have, the better to share with y'all. But yeah, I didn't think that would really be the case, that the Steelers would call inquiring about someone like a Trevor Lawrence with the contract that he got. If he had not gotten the contract extension to this point, then I could understand certainly something like that. But any of these guys, whether it's a Jalen Hurts or a Joe Burrow or Justin Herbert, Mahomes, obviously, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, when they have a massive contract and the amount of dead cap money that would go against a franchise, it would surprise me if teams were inquiring. But the Steelers obviously have a quarterback issue facing them as far as if they stick with Russell Wilson, how much longer is he going to play and play at a high level? They do have Justin Fields, but he was on, a 1-year contract with them. So they've got to figure it out.
Yeah. And I mean, I think we've seen guys get massive contracts and then get traded a year later. So this one is weird though, because especially at this timing, like it would be a complete fail for the Jaguars side of things, which maybe that's what the Steelers were trying to do, is just take advantage of a situation. But like you said, I don't know. It's interesting because the Steelers side of the people that are on the Steelers side of Twitter, there's multiple people saying it happened, but the Jaguars side are saying it's not. So either way, it was never going to happen. It wasn't a trade that was going to actually occur.
But a slow news day becomes much more fun for the Steelers side of things. Obviously not the Jaguars side of things when people start to panic. By the way,
that's what this time of year is. You see all these mock drafts of crazy things or potential trades or free agents of where they may go, and people are just eating up everything at this point because there's no football on.
Yeah, Steve Spurrier in the college realm called it talking season, right? Anytime that you're not playing football, people are just talking about it. Certainly that's this time of year in the NFL. And in the combine, that's where some of those behind closed doors conversations certainly do have between general managers or other assistant coaches and assistant coaches. The Jaguars have completed an interview with Brandon Brown for their general manager position. And so the search for the general manager continues. He from the Giants organization. I think, Taylor, anytime we hear someone connected to an organization that's been losing, people think, I don't want that person. Whether or not the entire organization should fall on the shoulders of one assistant general manager or the failures, then it's still, I think, someone you want to talk to. You just want to see. Maybe you do want to get information as to how did things go so drastically wrong. Was this person there when they decided to re-sign Daniel Jones? What was the thought process behind that? The Jaguars have also completed interviews with Bengals senior personnel executive Trey Brown and then 49ers director of scouting and football operations, Josh Williams. We talked about him yesterday. We did get word yesterday that the Jaguars will interview former Titans general manager John Robinson, who, yes, gets credit for drafting Derrick Henry in the second round. And obviously he was a monster running back for them for years before being shipped off to the Ravens. But he did trade away A.J. Brown, one of the better receivers in all of the league. And he did not. John Robinson was gone before Will Levis was drafted. So you don't put Will Levis on his shoulders. But I don't think that the Jaguars want, not just from the Titans in general, but again, it's an organization that's now a loser, right? Like the Giants, certainly the Titans, the Bears a little bit fall into that category too, even though people seem to be really excited about Ian Cunningham. It's still, you're not getting someone from like the Rams organization, who I think a lot of people are excited about that's their director of scouting strategy, James Gladstone. He was interviewed yesterday as well.
Yeah, the Gladstone one is, we've seen the clips of him. If you get to see these guys a little bit more behind the scenes, it may have you be a little more interested, because I do think that if you automatically are talking about somebody who's been in a losing organization, it does feel like you kind of just want to shut off.
And they're
but
young. They fit the young
young category.
Which
And
Grant Udinski was asked about that, and he's like, I don't really refer to us or think of our group as young, the coaching staff. I think of them as energetic. I think that's a good way to say it.
And we see all these clips. So obviously the Giants had the off-season Hard Knocks where you got a look into that, and all of these clips that have started coming up just through honestly this whole year of the kid of the general manager telling you to trade up and get Jaden Daniels, and that went viral. And then now there's the one about the owner saying if we trade Saquon to the Eagles, like I'm not going to be happy about that. So you're seeing this inside of the Giants organization looking very dysfunctional, and so I think that also kind of is going to stray people away from that one, obviously. And then you see ones with Gladstone, and you see those where he was a big reason of why they got both Braden Fisk and Jared Verse. He was very big on both of those guys and said you're not going to replace Aaron Donald with one person. He's right. That's a very difficult player to even try to replace at all. So he said you got to get two, and that's the route they went, and it
the Rams
worked.
have done a really good job of finding guys, not just
later,
not just in the early rounds, because for a
of
long
loss of
time
draft picks.
they didn't have those picks because of the Stafford trade, and so they've been able to find successful guys in the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th rounds, and that's something that I know Jags fans would love.
Yes.
They wouldn't be accustomed to it, but they would love it.
Yes. And then the 49ers one, anytime you're talking to somebody out of the 49ers or Chiefs organization, I think those are two organizations that have been built really well when it comes through building through the draft, when it comes to free agency. So those ones you always are a little intrigued by. And I've talked a lot about Ian Cunningham. I love Ian Cunningham. I think that's one where you kind of have to separate the product because they just fired all of their coaches and they didn't even make it through this season. So you have to kind of put a little bit into that. But if you go back and you look at their drafts, him and Ryan Poles have been in a large part of a lot of playmakers on the football field and what they've been able to do. Also, the DJ Moore trade that is an absolute win with the Panthers. So there's a lot of things that they've done behind the scenes, and it hasn't directly correlated to wins. I think a lot of that is the kind of back and forth with quarterbacks and what you're doing there between Justin Fields and then now a rookie quarterback in Caleb Williams. But to me, when we go to the big one, obviously, is when we're talking about John Robinson. And I think because you're so closely tied to the Titans, you're obviously way more familiar with that organization here and what they have done. And that A.J. Brown one is a big one. But there's been a lot of other bad drafts during his time there where he's missed on a lot of draft picks. The A.J. Brown trade was a huge one. I also think just the fact that you win the division in back-to-back years and can't even win a playoff game in that time. So that kind of, to me, correlates to a lack of talent on the football field to be able to, you can win a division, that's bad, but you can't win once you get into the postseason. And again, not all directly to a general manager because we talk about, or an assistant general manager, whatever they are, because we talk a lot about the coaching being a factor and quarterbacks and all of that type of stuff. But you also link him to guys like who I mentioned in the last segment, Kevin Byard. He drafted Kevin Byard. He drafted Derrick Henry. Those are two things that I think you would look as positives. And a few other guys. I think Jeffrey Simmons is one of his guys, too. So he's found talent. But what worries me with him is so has Trent Baalke. Trent Baalke in times, and I use the analogy of anybody can throw a dart, hit the bullseye on the dartboard every now and then. That doesn't make you good at playing darts. And that's how I felt about Trent Baalke. Every now and then he got lucky to where you kind of would forget other moves because he would hit on a free agent move or on a draft move. And I feel like John Robinson's been the same, where he has these pieces that have been good and people highlight that, but he hasn't been able to keep a lot of the talent. He trades away talent. He has a lot of missed picks. So this one worries me.
Yeah, and I don't know that they're interviewing him necessarily to thinking that he's going to be the next general manager. I think this is a good interview because he's one of the only ones that has previous experience in the job. And if you haven't talked to anyone who's been a general manager, then there are some things that they may not be aware of. And so that's where I wonder if that's the reason that they're interviewing him. And I'm sure that there's going to be guys when we look back and say, why on earth would they talk to him? But it's just getting more information. And certainly when everybody's new in their roles, Tony Baselli has never been the executive vice president of football operations. Liam Cohen has never been a head coach.
Yeah, there's a lot of newness.
Your
Maybe
offensive
you want
coordinator has never been an offensive coordinator. Grant Udinski, Anthony Campanile has never been a defensive coordinator in the NFL. So it's good to talk to people who have been there, done that, so to speak, even if they have made mistakes. Certainly they can learn. All right, so The Athletic has their 3 top off-season storylines, and then we're going to give our 3 as they relate to the Jacksonville Jaguars. But their 3 who gets Myles Garrett.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's an understandably massive storyline because you're talking about a guy who's probably a future Hall of Famer who is the best defensive end in all of the NFL. He doesn't want to stay with Cleveland, but are they even willing to trade him? Are they going to get the haul that if they decide that, yes, they're going to move on from him, are they going to get what they expect from him?
Yeah.
Does he go to a team that already has a vicious pass rush? And what does that look like? Who can afford him, as far as that draft capital and things like that? There's a lot of interesting storylines with Myles Garrett.
Yeah, and so they mentioned that he led in quarterback pressures and pass rush win rate. So if you're a team who is lacking in that area, then obviously this is a name that you're looking at. And Myles Garrett also, we've seen in moments, is a very, when we talk about violent player, when we use the word violence, he is one of the players you can directly correlate to that word. But yeah, it is an interesting storyline because, what do the Browns also do it? The Browns have come out and said no, but we've seen that happen with teams before where they say no, but then people start calling and they're seeing how much they could potentially get out of this player. So all of that starts to factor in when it comes to trade value and his trade value. Then what do the Bengals do with the Trey Hendrickson, and do people start calling for him? And so a player like Myles Garrett has a trickle down effect of like a lot of other things that could happen in the league.
Yeah, that reminded me that Myles Garrett went after Mason Rudolph, the Steelers quarterback at the time, with his helmet.
Swing his helmet,
right? And the other quarterback that was on the Steelers roster right around then, Duck Hodges, proposed to Lainey Wilson last night. So,
I saw that.
Yeah, congratulations to them. We talk a lot about country music on this show, so I certainly had to mention that. All right, the second storyline from The Athletic: will Matthew Stafford and Cooper Kupp end up on the same team, ... outside of Los Angeles? I think Stafford stays, but Kupp, now that they've been pretty honest about being willing to move on from him, I think that Kupp ends up on a different team, but Stafford's still the quarterback of the Rams.
Yeah, especially the way that it went down with Cooper Kupp. I think that it's a little hard to mend. A little hard to mend that relationship now. It will be interesting. Cooper Kupp is a phenomenal player when he's healthy. That's part of that when it's healthy part. He's missed a lot of time this last few years, and honestly off and on through his entire career. So those are something you have to kind of look into. But if you get a healthy Cooper Kupp, you are upgrading your offensive weapons immediately.
I can't believe he's going to be 32.
It is
summer.
wild. I know. Even when I was looking at his stats, I was like, it feels like he's been playing 3 years. It's been way more than that at this point.
It really has. The Rams have to consider the $29.7 million cap hit for Kupp. And then, obviously, like I said, McVay going to Cancun, talking to Matthew Stafford, trying to lure him away from Detroit. That to me says that McVay wants to keep Stafford for a little bit longer. Even
what
though
do they do?
He's 37.
Do they start planning though for the next? I feel like they have to.
Yeah, if they don't believe it's Stetson Bennett.
Yeah, yeah.
But no, yes, I think you always, in my mind, you always have to be prepared. Like, look at what happened with Andrew Luck, and that doesn't happen very often, but retired at a fairly young age with the Colts. There can be those injuries that can knock a guy out of football for quite some time. Look at Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
Look at Kirk Cousins. Watson obviously has now re-ruptured the Achilles tendon, but Kirk Cousins certainly out for a while. And so I think you always have to be prepared. The Falcons didn't do it the right way in giving all that guaranteed money to Kirk Cousins and then drafting Michael Penix in the top 10. But they did have a plan. Like, that's why I defend them a little in as far as having a plan for their future as far as quarterback is concerned. But you don't pay Kirk Cousins all that money and then have all that money tied into your quarterback if that's not who you think is going to be your quarterback the next at least 3 years.
Yeah, and that's why everybody was stunned by what they did last season. And some people defended it. To me, it was always weird because, number one, whatever Kirk has on the league, because every contract he's had has been guaranteed money. So he just has done something to where teams are confident enough to give him guaranteed money. And then trading up to draft a Michael Penix everybody was floored at that decision. So it is, I think, maybe in their eyes that they were working ahead a little bit and saying, okay, we know Kirk Cousins is reaching towards the end of his career and da-da-da, but if that's the case and you had an idea you may be drafting a quarterback, then you probably don't give him the guaranteed contract that you did. But yeah, when it comes to Matthew Stafford, it will be interesting to see what happens. It does seem like Sean McVay feels like he's still capable of leading this team to wins, and he just proved that this last year. It's wild to think he's also going into year 17. And so that one, I do think if you're that organization, you have to start thinking about what's next, because it's going to happen before you know it. You're going to be having to make that decision.
But the good news for the Rams is they trust their GM and Les Snead. And so they believe that he'll pick the right guy. Exactly. Whether that's getting a free agent quarterback. I mean, it could be that they move on from Stafford. They get a guy like Sam Darnold and roll with that. You know, stranger things have happened. And then the final storyline from The Athletic, your favorite, the annual Aaron Rodgers mystery. The Jets are definitely moving on from him. The owner, Woody Johnson, came out with a statement, as did Aaron Glenn. They obviously have already told him that. But the question is, what does Aaron Rodgers decide to do? It's similar boat kind of to Travis Kelce. Yeah. Although Kelce has certainly more Super Bowl rings than Aaron Rodgers does, but have they decided that their next life is kind of or their next chapter of life, not their next life, their next chapter of life, it needs to start sooner rather than later?
Yeah, I've seen so many funny things with this one, and everyone the other day was tweeting like the Vikings could do the funniest thing right now, because obviously with the Brett Favre situation and how that went. Right. And then it didn't go very well for him there, and that was kind of an interesting trajectory. They obviously do not need a quarterback, whether they stick with Sam Darnold or they feel like J.J. McCarthy is the guy. They are confident in both of those players, so it's not like he would be used there. I'd be interested to see what team would show interest in Aaron Rodgers, because there are several that need quarterbacks still. When we talk about are the Raiders somebody who gets somebody like him just to patch up some things, and Devontae go back with him to Las Vegas? I don't know, but it does seem like there are rumors that if Aaron Rodgers is going somewhere else, that Devontae would want to go with him. So
it's going to be Sharks have remoras on them, right? Mm-hmm. That to me is like Devontae Adams and Aaron Rodgers. He just hangs alongside him and goes wherever he goes. All right, we'll give our top 3 offseason storylines as they relate to the Jacksonville Jaguars when we return. You are listening to Helmets and Heels on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
That's a great team effort out there.
Because sports are life.
Y'all played your hearts out. I'm proud of you.
1010XL.
Good job.
Now you can watch 1010XL shows all day on X, Facebook, and YouTube. Brought to you by MyBookie. Experience Vegas from the comfort of your phone anytime, anywhere. Sign up today. Use promo code 1010XL.
Mia here since 1982. Closets by Design has specialized in creating dream spaces for every budget. My designer, Frances, made this process so easy. She came to my house and designed a walk-in closet that's beautiful and incredibly functional for me and old Beau Valentine. Call today to schedule your free in-home consultation at 1-800-293-3744 or visit closetsbydesign.com and take advantage of extended savings this month. Get 40% off and another 15% off with 18-month special financing.
David Garrard here. Playing in the NFL can put a lot of wear and tear on your body, especially your knees. Southeast Orthopedic Specialist has kept me mobile and ready to tackle every day.
Southeast Orthopedic Specialist.
David Garrard here. I've had the PRP treatment from Southeast Orthopedic Specialist, and my knees are really doing well. Platelet-rich plasma treatment may be the answer for whatever is hurting you.
Southeast Orthopedic Specialist.
Prosser here, still telling you about Lifetime Enclosures and Lifetime Flooring. Lifetime Enclosures is keeping the sale going into February. Enclosures starting at only $89 a month, and if you get a complete enclosure done, you get free flooring. If you just need flooring, Lifetime Flooring is running a buy one room, get the second room free. Now offering floor coating for that garage or patio deck too. Give them a call or visit their showrooms just off Phillips Highway. Proud partners of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Don't miss the Players Championship, March 11th through 16th at TPC Sawgrass. This can't-miss event features a variety of activities for every fan to enjoy, from delicious bites to the Sawgrass Splash. There are endless fan enhancements that will make for a memorable experience. Plus, watch the top PGA Tour players, including back-to-back champion Scottie Scheffler, take on the iconic stadium course featuring the famous Island Green. Tickets available at theplayers.com.
Hi, I'm Andrew Lodge, a Duval County Public School educator, and I personally just want to say thank you to the players for supporting the Jacksonville Public Education Fund on our mission to achieve excellent outcomes for all students. It's 26 days to the players. Let's go.
When Florida weather hits with epic force, you need reliable air conditioning. Epic Cool Heating and Air is here. Take advantage of our Epic Gold membership program. You'll get 2 yearly tests of your entire AC system to keep it running smooth all year. That's epic. Plus, no interest financing for 18 months. That's epic. Visit EpicHVACService.com today and trust the experts at Epic Cool Heating and Air to keep your home comfortable. That's EpicHVACService.com.
WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
When you're experiencing sudden, unexpected dental pain, the last thing you want to hear is that your dentist can't see you until next week. That's why I'm so glad I found Harbor Dental Care. Whenever I call, they always find a way to see me within 24 hours, and they can usually fix whatever's wrong the same day. Plus, they have locations throughout Jacksonville, so no matter what side of town I'm on, I can always count on the same great care. If you want to find a dentist who believes in treating people right, learn more at harbordental.care. That's HARBOUR dental.care.
Where is the deepest canyon in the United States?
Filing an insurance claim following a storm shouldn't be an ordeal. Southern Oak Insurance's claim team prepares for catastrophic situations well in advance. Log on to southernoak.com.
Our family protecting yours. Southern Oak Insurance.
The deepest canyon in the United States is Hell's Canyon along the Oregon and Idaho border, about 8,000 feet deep at some point.
Southern Oak Insurance. Our family protecting yours.
Did you know your pup could take 30,000 to 60,000 steps a day at Dogtopia of Jacksonville Beach Boulevard? That's a whole lot of tail wagging fun with their best furry friends. At Dogtopia, they turn playtime into exercise, learning, and socialization in their off-leash, open play environment. Dogs build confidence, reduce anxiety, and stay happy and healthy, all while having the time of their lives. Visit Dogtopia of Jacksonville Beach Boulevard today.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad Pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
This is Molly McDonald with your 1010XL Southeast Orthopedic Specialist Local Sports Update, brought to you by Clay Solar Installation Partners. The Florida Gators baseball tour to Omaha starts tomorrow with their opening weekend series set to take place in Gainesville against the Air Force Academy. Head coach Kevin O'Sullivan is excited to showcase his team and gave his strategy on early season matchups.
Yeah, we talk about it every year, honestly, and that's usually the day before opening day. To say, listen, there's only nine guys that can hit. We're still trying to establish roles on the mound. Do not get excited. Do not get your head down. We're going to do the best we can as far as getting everybody opportunities, but you certainly cannot get off to a bad start and lose yourself in the team early in the year. You'll get your chance, but you can only play 9. So we'll see. But yeah, we address that every year.
Florida opens the 2025 regular season tomorrow, first pitch at 6:30, hosting the Falcons for a 3-game series for the first time in program history. It's 85 degrees at 12:57. Time and temp brought to you by Bueller Air and Plumbing. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Helmets and Heels is brightened by
First Coast Lighting and Fans
on 1010XL.
Taylor Dahl, JJ Silva filling in for RJ Saunders. I'm Lauren Brooks with you. Mia O'Brien on vacation until next week. All right, we just gave you the Athletics' top 3 offseason storylines, but what are ours when it comes to the Jacksonville Jaguars? Taylor, I'll start with, what exactly do NFL teams think of this crop of quarterbacks in the 2025 draft? Guys, obviously, like Shedeur Sanders, Cam Ward, but Jackson Dart, and the list goes on. How high are they going to be drafted? Because that directly affects that Jaguars number 5 overall pick. A team like the Jets now, other teams that need quarterbacks, do they want to trade up? Will the Jaguars listen at that point in time based off of how their board looks? That to me is going to be fascinating because you're going to hear between now and the draft, April 25th, 24th, whenever it starts, we're going to hear so many different things about those quarterbacks and whether or not a team is going to fall in love with them or whether teams don't think they're worth those number 1, number 2, number 3 overall picks. Fascinating.
Yeah. And obviously when you're in the position the Jaguars are in, you want the most quarterbacks possible to go ahead of you because then you have your pick of the crop by the time that pick 5 comes.
Because you're not trading your quarterback to the Steelers.
Yes. And so I think that will be a massive storyline because I've already seen a lot of the draft people talk about how Jackson Dart is their number 2 quarterback now. And so we will see how all of this starts to shake out once the combine comes and we start getting some of these numbers in and things like that. But I do think it's a drastic difference from what last year's draft was, obviously, because last year there was a ton of quarterbacks that went at the top and honestly some quarterbacks that went later that could have possibly or went a little bit later that could have possibly went even higher. So
like a Bo Nix.
Like a Bo Nix, yeah. And so this one it's going to be very interesting to follow along and see by the time draft day which one of those quarterbacks does sit the top. And just them going number 1 doesn't also mean that they are going to be the one next year that we're talking about actually being worth number 1.
You're talking about Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels.
No. I'm still glad the Bears drafted Caleb. But off of that point, I think that the Tennessee Titans, that's my storyline, is what the Tennessee Titans do. Because I think that we've heard some things that they might want to stick with Will Levis and give him a little bit more of a shot. We've seen other that are saying there's no way. Some of their organizations, some of the organizations already done with Will Levis, but that one is fascinating to me too because I think that if Tennessee and it could be an earlier trade. We've seen it before. Obviously, the Bears did it with the pick that ended up getting them Caleb Williams, but trading Justin Fields, and the Panthers got Bryce Young. That happened before the season. It was about a month from today that the Bears made that trade. So do the Tennessee Titans do something like that? Is it a day of draft trade where things start to go a little crazy because someone does have their eye on a Ward or Sanders or a Jackson Dart and feel like they need to move up to get it? We've gone through the teams a ton that we feel like need the quarterbacks the most, and when you talk about the Browns, when you talk about the Giants, they're all right there, but a little bit later. And the New Orleans Saints, who have that 9th pick, do they like one of those guys enough to call Tennessee and see what it's worth to get up to that spot?
And just a reminder, I think most people know this that are Jags fans, but Liam Cohen has a direct correlation as to how Will Levis was drafted as high as he was by the Titans, obviously spending time there with him. And Will Levis this past season, 13 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. That's certainly not a quarterback that you should be confident you can build around, whether or not you want to give him more time because you don't think he's been developed properly. We'll see. But nowadays, people, I think they want to go back to the Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield, you just need to, develop them a little bit more, or put in weapons around them, build the system around them, all those kinds of things. But at other times, it's like, no, this guy is just not that talented.
And also those two examples, they had to go to different teams to be able to find that. So sometimes it is also you do not have, whether it's coaching, whether it's surroundings, whatever it may be, it's just not working for that particular player at that stop. And we've seen it now with a Geno Smith, with the Sam Darnold, and with the Baker Mayfield. Those next stops have just worked better for them.
Yeah, and at Kentucky, when Liam Cohen was his offensive coordinator back in 2021, Will Levis had a 66% completion percentage, 24 touchdowns to 13 interceptions. So he's always going to be a guy that's a little careless with the football, but still, that's much better than what we've seen. He had so many
memes this year. Just the poor Will Levis, the amount of just him on his knees on the one play when he threw the pick six, and then him diving trying to tackle somebody, and he's looks like he's levitating off the ground at the end.
But he also did himself in a little bit by those mayonnaise commercials and that type of thing. So that's on him. I'll say my next storyline when it comes to the Jaguars is going to be how do they build the trenches? We know that that's a massive focus of Liam Cohen, of Tony Baselli, the EVP, and certainly the assistant coaches as well. Does that look like they're going to spend a lot of high draft capital on the trenches, or is it a model of some guys in free agency to shore up the trenches right away and then also draft and then develop? I think that's going to be fascinating because your number one goal in all of football is to protect your quarterback. Well, score points and all that. But when you have a franchise quarterback who's been hurt the last couple of years, I know their number one goal is going to be, how do we protect Trevor Lawrence and get the most out of Trevor at that position? I do think there are some guys in free agency that they might want to take a look at and bring them in. And that hasn't always worked here. I understand that. But the interior of that offensive line especially, I think, needs some overhauling. And so there are guys available. And then when it comes to defensive front, is there a guy like a Josh Sweat that you are going to spend big money on? We'll see moving forward what they decide to do there, but that's what I'm going to be watching is those trenches.
Yeah, I'm exhausted about talking about the offensive line at this point, just because I feel like for 3 years straight, I've been saying, even last year, we kept mocking, being like, run it back. That's not going to work. What are you doing? And now we're here in the same exact spot. Honestly, maybe a little bit worse because last year they did find some pieces that we've seen Brandon Sheriff obviously play well, and he's had his moments. He's just kind of getting on the tail end of his career at this point. I know you like Ezra Cleveland more than I do, and so to me, there's a lot more fixing that needs to be done, and you and I also have had that conversation of what the tackles look like too. Is Walker Little that guy? And so to your point in that area, there's this, we'll know a little bit more on that once these guys really start breaking down who they want to keep and who they don't want to keep, and once free agency comes up, who's available. But I do think that the trenches are something that's going to be focused on, should have already, but from now until even after the draft, you're still going to be talking about the offensive line and what that will look like going into the season. And so, too, just to kind of also ricochet off of that, I think the weapons are a big thing, too. Is Liam Cohen looking at this saying that a Brian Thomas Jr., Christian Kirk, Evan Ingram, Brenton Strange, Tank Bigsby, and Travis Etienne are what he wants to work with in the future? Because I think that when you
Don't forget about Gabe Davis.
Oh, yeah. Good old Gabe. I think that when you look at somebody like the Bengals, and these two kind of tie together for me because the Bengals have decisions to make with a Jamar Chase, a T. Higgins, Trey Hendrickson too, but we're talking about the weapons right now. So those two, and there's a lot of rumors that T. Higgins may not be with the Cincinnati this next year. Do the Jags feel like it's worth bringing somebody else like that in to be across from or to kind of help and complement Brian Thomas Jr., and how much would that up that room in general? And I do think personally, I know Christian Kirk has been great here, and him and Trevor have this connection, but I do think now we're seeing back-to-back seasons with injuries, missing 9 games, missing 5 games, and you do have a little bit of concern. Also, is there too much overlap with that slot receiver type of thing? And I know Christian can also do some other things, but that's where he excels the most. So what do they do with that wide receiver room, and what does Liam Cohen feel like needs to be added? Or maybe he does feel like he can bring out the next level, and because of Brian Thomas Jr. into year 2, that's enough.
Yeah, that's, to me, the final thing for me is the running back position. I don't know if Liam Cohen, we know that running the football is really important to him, and we saw the success that he had in Tampa Bay. Does he believe Travis Etienne and Tank Bigsby are the answer with a revamped offensive line? Or does he want to get another guy, whether it's through the draft free agency? To me, I would think it's a pretty deep running back class. So a guy like a Cam Scatteraboo, a guy like a Dylan Sampson, those are, I think, some options that they would have later in the draft, not drafting a guy. And obviously I don't think they're going to draft Ashton Genty in the top 10. At least that's where it seems like he's going as of now. So how do they decide to attack that? Because we know, too, a quarterback's best friend is being able to hand the ball off and actually get positive yardage. And the screen game, too, is going to be really important. And like I said, this run game Trevor said it after the season, it has not been consistent. It has not been efficient. That's, I think, a huge part of their plan moving forward. So how do they feel about the group that they have now, and how do they want to bolster it?
Yeah.
And do they like Keelan Robinson?
Yeah. And does Liam Cohen want his own guy? Because there in Tampa, they got Bucky Irving, who everybody we were talking to in the offseason said he was going to be more of a special teams piece this first year, and wasn't. He was fantastic and was a massive part of their run game, the biggest part of their run game in Tampa. So does he see somebody in the draft that could be that Bucky Irving, and does he want to put in everybody's ear, especially in this draft, because obviously the running back the running backs in this draft are, you can get one in the third, fourth round and probably still get a very good running back. And the importance of the running back, we've talked about a lot throughout the season and kind of this resurgence of how important they would be. So if Liam Cohen has in his mind, like, hey, I'm seeing this guy and it's something that I saw in Bucky Irving and that's why we drafted him, I do think that the Jaguars would want to address that, because at this point, Shad Khan is going to want, and whoever the general manager is, are going to want to listen to Liam Cohen in the mind of, this is what will make, I just did this with Tampa's offense. Let me do this, and I need these pieces to make that happen. I will go with it. My third one is going to be, we've already kind of talked about some of these, but just the matter of what happens to some of these big names that are asking for trades, because we've talked about a Myles Garrett already. We talked about a Cooper Kupp, but a Deebo Samuel is another name that now we're starting to hear things with him in the 49ers. So there's a lot of these guys that around this time want to go elsewhere, whether it's that the organization isn't using them in the right way, whether they feel like the time they're in Cleveland, it's just a hot mess. So I'm sure they just don't want to be there at this point. But it will be fascinating to see if any of these teams actually let any of these big names go. And then also what teams give the Browns, for example, or whatever that trade compensation is, because that does line up for a lot of the other moves that could potentially happen for the Jaguars. It sets the market for certain guys, which is a big thing once you're heading into the offseason.
For sure. A lot of work for Liam Cohen so far. There's the, asking for money from Tampa Bay, and he was going to be the highest paid offensive coordinator. Then coming to Jacksonville, deciding, no, I want to be the Jaguars head coach after maybe ushering out a certain general manager, and then having to build an entire staff. The only person, or people I should say, that were retained, Heath Farwell and then his assistant Luke Thompson, but building out the rest of the staff and having to do all this player evaluation on the current roster that you just took over, but then also plan for what free agents do you want to bring here. And obviously your assistant coaches and position coaches, they have a familiarity with some of these guys, so that can help. But then also evaluating all of the talent in the draft. And the combine is very close, right? It's this month. And then it's, how do you want to address your team as far as the different team meeting rooms and position groups? How much time does Liam want to spend with the defense? And he's going to have a lot of control. Oh, yeah. And by the way, picking the new general manager, I forgot that part, involved in all those interviews, picking a new general manager.
And with a 2-week delay of a start also, because of some other things that happened. But luckily, some of those things he's probably already started thinking about, even if he was staying with Tampa. He was still going to kind of be evaluating some of the talent of free agents in the draft. So those things I'm sure he was still a part of. And so that's positive. But now you're doing it for a whole different organization. And to your point, building a staff and getting to know your own personnel here. So it's a busy month.
busy first year for sure. Because I thought about that this time next year. He'll lose some staff for sure to other teams and other potential employment if things go well, I suppose, or he might have to fire people. But this time next year won't be quite as crazy. Certainly very hectic. But he has a lot more say now than he ever has before in as far as player procurement. So pick the right guys, Liam, you and the GM.
And we have heard, though, in Tampa that he was a big part in all of the staff there and building that staff and a lot of the players. I have heard that Bucky Irving was someone that he personally had wanted in Tampa. So he did have a good amount of say there. And I think part of that is just because when you have a functional organization, you're able to listen to many pieces and build this as a whole rather than, like I mentioned in the top of the show, people being greedy and just wanting it their way.
Yes, it has been dysfunctional here. That is for sure. All right, I want to give it to baseball when we return, since we have JJ LaSelva in the house. You are listening to Helmets and Heels on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
1010XL takes you inside the program director's office with Dan and Jeff.
We're here because you're looking for the best of the best of the best, sir.
The Drill.
Of course, you are a character.
Mornings.
Doesn't mean that you have character.
On 1010XL.
Mia here. Presidents throughout America's history have all had to deal with budgets. And that's how I know they love the big-time savings during the President's Day weekend sale going on now at Arlington Toyota Pre-Owned. This is one budget-friendly sale in a big way. Like $0 down and just $288 per month for a pre-owned 2022 Toyota Corolla. Or you choose a pre-owned 2021 Camry, RAV4, Tacoma for $0 down and only $388 per month. But that's not all. Arlington's also offering you no payments till July 2025. You heard that right. No payments till July 2025. Plus, Arlington's lot is packed with over 600 vehicles in one location. And you get 60 days to love your purchase or exchange it and help from the Credit for Everyone program. But don't wait. Get into Arlington for the President's Day sale going on now through Monday. Shop in person on Atlantic Boulevard, just a quarter mile east of 295, or online anytime at arlingtontoyota.com.
Josie for Hard Rock Bet. Football season may be over, but there's plenty of action everywhere else. Not sure what to bet on? Check out the Discover page at Hard Rock Bet. You can download the app or head to hardrock.bet. College basketball, we're closing in on the biggest tournament of the year. Don't go in blind. Bet on the action today. Hard Rock Bet. Download the app. Offered by the Seminole Tribe of Florida. Must be 21 plus and physically present in Florida to wager. Terms and conditions apply. Concerned about gambling? Call 1-888-ADMIT-IT.
Give a unique gift this Valentine's Day to that special person in your life with a custom-made candle or body care product from Wick, a candle bar. Locations in San Marco and Jax Beach.
Bull riding. The perfect fusion of strength, skill, and pure willpower. Professional bull riders aren't just athletes. They're daredevils with cowboy souls. Come experience the true modern West, where 8 seconds of glory will create a lifetime of memories. It's the Michelob Ultra PBR Jacksonville at ViStar Veterans Memorial Arena, February 22nd and 23rd. Tickets available at Ticketmaster.com and PBR.com. Hold on tight. The ride of your life is about to begin. Mia O'Brien.
Don't I know you from somewhere?
On Helmets and Heels, noon to 2.
I swear to you, I know her.
Then there's the 1010XL video and social media channels.
I would know her voice anywhere.
All Things Mia is driven by Arlington Toyota.
On 1010XL.
If you're cooking for your sweetheart this weekend, Southern Steer Butcher has you covered. An easy-choose Valentine's Day special menu with the best meats in town. Full V-Day flyer at southernsteer.com.
For tasty tips and juicy breasts, choose Southern Steer Butcher.
You'll always feel good when you send someone a Kuhn Flowers floral or plant arrangement. This is Max Fink with 1010XL, and no matter what the reason, Kuhn Flowers has always come through for me. Order online at kuhnflowers.com.
Hey folks, Rick Ballou here from the Blue Crab Crab House. February means the Mardi Gras menu returns to the Blue Crab Crab House. Gumbo, shrimp Orleans, blackened redfish, appetizers, dessert, and more. This includes, of course, their regular menu where you get crabs from the Alaskan waters, the Canadian waters, the Southern Georgia waters. It's only at the Blue Crab Crab House. Doors open at 4:30, San Jose, and of course, Jewington Creek Road.
Yo, 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 it's your boy E to the T here, and I know that getting into an accident is stressful, but getting the proper care doesn't have to be. That's why I recommend McGowan Spinal Rehabilitation Center. Even if you're at fault, your insurance covers you. And remember, you have the right to choose your own doctor. Even a minor accident can cause whiplash for years if it goes untreated. So don't wait. Call the auto accident experts at McGowan Spinal Rehabilitation. Your recovery starts today.
Tired of seeing the signs of aging in the mirror, fine lines, sun damage, redness? They don't have to be part of your future. I'm Dr. Mark Capel, a board-certified dermatologist, and I can help you look and feel your best without invasive surgery or painful treatments. Imagine rejuvenating your skin in a relaxing, comfortable environment with minimal to no downtime. Smooth out fine lines, even skin tone, and restore that youthful glow. Find out how to look and feel your best at Dermagnify.com. Dermagnify.com.
3D Digital has you covered for any of your business's digital marketing needs. From producing award-winning videos to getting those digital ads to follow your customers around the internet, our team has your back. Visit 3ddigital.com or give us a call at 904-712-4004 to schedule a free consultation today. 904-712-4004.
Is your office productivity running at full speed? Advanced Business Solutions has the solution with Xerox copiers. Whether you need high volume printing, scanning, or secure document management, Xerox copiers deliver efficiency, quality, and innovation. With features like cloud integration and mobile printing, Xerox is perfect for any modern office. Let ABS help you streamline your workflow. Veteran-owned Advanced Business Solutions.
Advanced Business Solutions.
Transform your bathroom with stunning shower glass from Sky Glass Solutions in Jacksonville Beach. For a free quote, call 904-608-5151 or visit skyglasssolutions.com.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Helmets and Heels is brightened by
First Coast Lighting and Fans
on 1010XL.
Taylor Dahl, JJ Silva filling in for RJ Saunders. I'm Lauren Brooks with you. Mia O'Brien on vacation. She'll be with us next week. By the way, just a quick mention that in the realm of college baseball, Georgia's ranked 8th, Florida State's ranked 9th, and Florida's ranked 10th as we head into the season starting tomorrow. Those three teams were excellent last year. Yes, they lost pieces, but Florida and Florida State were two of the final four teams there in Omaha. I think they have the rankings a little bit out of whack, but we'll see, and certainly they have a chance to prove themselves. But I want to get it to Major League Baseball since we do have JJ in the house. And Taylor, you and I haven't talked really any baseball since we've been all football. But JJ, I'll start with you and your Atlanta Braves. How excited? I know you're excited for the season. I shouldn't say that.
am.
Right, but do you think the Braves are going to be right around 90 wins?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I fully expect them to be competing for the NL East once again. Last year was the first time they hadn't won in 6 years. So
devastating year for you.
It was still fine. It did suck. The Braves sucked last year, which is crazy to say. They still went to the playoffs. They won the wild card, but
all the
injuries, and even before the injuries, they were so bad at hitting last year. It was crazy. They wasted a Cy Young year by Chris Sale and Max Fried's last year with the Braves, which I saw him in a video today in Yankee colors, and it hurt my soul.
That sucks.
It was like seeing Freddie. I'm a 90s kid, so I hate the Yankees so much more than the Dodgers. So seeing Freddie play for the Dodgers, it sucked, but it was okay. I don't have that vitriol for them, but the Yankees, man, and Max, I get it. It was too many years, too much money for a guy who's oft hurt and he's in his 30s, so I understand why the Braves didn't do it, but it still hurts. But yeah, I expect the Braves to be great this year. Ronald Acuna should be back in May-ish.
Okay.
I saw a video of him. He looks great. Obviously, everybody looks great in batting practice.
I don't.
Not me. Spencer Strider should be back soon. He, one of the dominant pitchers for the Braves who got hurt last year. He didn't have Tommy John. He had I'm not exactly sure. It was a little bit different, so he's going to be back sooner than expected. But yeah, I'm expecting the Braves to have another great season and compete for the NL East.
Yeah, this is once this time of year, because obviously the pitchers and catchers for the Cubs had to report early because they're playing the game in Japan against the Dodgers, which also, JJ, I feel like it kind of sucks for these teams because they travel to Japan, play 2 games, they come back one day later, have 5 more days of spring training, and then start
so weird.
It's so strange. And so when I was looking at the schedule, at first I was like, hold on, there's something mixed up here. Nope, it's because of that Japan game.
So I didn't realize you guys started this. So it's going to be all Dodgers fans there, too.
Oh, definitely.
Ohtani, and I think they have the new guy as well.
Well, we have Shota Imanaga, too, so I know he has a lot of fans out there. But, yeah, it's maybe that's why they did it, and I think the Yamamoto, or however you say his name, Yamamoto and Imanaga are the starting pitchers the first day, too, so they're doing that definitely intentionally.
Yeah, Ohtani will be back pitching. I don't know if it'll be right at the start of the year, though.
Okay.
Because he didn't last year. Still ended up. Did he win the MVP? I'm pretty sure the guy's insane.
He's incredible.
So I expect the Dodgers to win the West and
the whole
compete. Probably, but it's baseball. They haven't had a back-to-back winner since the Yankees in 2000. So it's a lot more difficult than it seems like. On paper, yeah, the Dodgers should win.
But that's not always, like you said, it's not always how it works in baseball. Does it bother you that the Dodgers spend such an enormous amount?
No, but it bothers me the deferred money thing.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with an owner who wants to just spend crazy. Yeah. I don't have any issue with that. But I do have an issue with you can just say, hey, we're going to pay Ohtani this $1 billion 20 years from now, so it's not really going to affect the team now. I don't know why that's allowed. I guess it always has been in baseball. We've had the Bobby Bonilla Day every year, even Ken Griffey Jr. There's a lot of players that you don't realize that took deferred payments for a long time.
Yes,
but
for
yeah, I
sure.
think we should get rid of that.
What about a floor? Because I've heard a lot of people say that, like rather than having a cap, have a floor, and like
I think
so
if you have a
teams
floor,
like the
you probably have
Steelers-
to have a ceiling too.
Yeah.
I just am never one of those guys that thinks a salary cap is gonna suddenly like. Look at football. I mean, we had the exact same 4 teams in the AFC finals as we did last season. We have the same Chiefs in it every single year. Like NBA is pretty much the same way. I don't think having a salary cap means you're just going to have parity throughout the league. That's not how it works in other leagues. I think we've just been like programmed to believe that that's true. But like in no other aspect of life does price fixing work. And it just it would kill baseball salaries. And I think that baseball has the strongest union. And so I think if you suddenly come out with like a spending floor and a spending ceiling, they're going to go on strike. And that's the last thing that baseball needs.
It is hard to be a fan of a team that's not going to spend as much, right? 'Cause
Absolutely. If you're a Rays fan or a Pirates fan, it sucks.
Your favorite players, Blake Snell, the Rays probably thought that he wasn't going to be as good. I also think they kind of thought he was a little bit of a punk in the clubhouse. But look at what he's gone on to do after, he went to the Padres and he's won an AL. But that's just the Rays' philosophy is they're going to try and keep building and get younger and younger and still try and win. They have a new catcher this year, so that'll be interesting in Danny Jansen. But for the most part, a lot of the other guys that you've known on the Rays are pretty much the same.
Where are they playing?
They're playing at the Yankees spring training facility.
So they're actually playing in Tampa this year.
Yes, they're playing in Tampa. And yeah, for people who don't remember, the hurricane came through and the Trop, which everyone ridiculed to begin with.
Yeah.
But the Trop was supposed to serve as a shelter for a lot of people in that area for the hurricane, and then the entire roof completely blew off.
Crazy video.
Right, yeah, insane. And so now you have a major league team that has already gone through a lot of issues in their area as far as building a new stadium. There's been a lot of different things that they've had political, discussions about. And it seems like they're going to stay there long term. But then, of course, a lot of other people in the Major League Baseball community would like them to move to a team or to a city like Nashville.
Yeah.
For the here and now, though, yes, they're going to play at the Yankees spring training ballpark, which I've been to, Legends Field. Brian actually played a game there in high school. I want to say one of the state championship, maybe something like that. But it's a nice facility.
Absolutely.
It's pretty. It's just not. It's not a 30,000 seat stadium. And yeah, it is outside, so at least we get to see.
It's got to be better than where the A's are playing. I think they're playing in like Sacramento at a minor league. This baseball's going to be crazy. So we're going to have 2 AL teams playing in minor league parks this year.
It is crazy when you look, because I was looking at some of the preseason. They have the projections for how the win totals and stuff like that. And Vegas came out with theirs, and so they lined up the last few years of what the over under of wins and were for that team, and then what it ended up like as, which is kind of funny to see anyways, because some of them way outdo themselves and some, like the White Sox, had not. But the White Sox projected wins this year 53.5.
Oh
Imagine going.
I feel like I'd take the under.
Yeah, what did they finish last year?
So they had 41 wins.
Yeah, see, I'm taking the under there for sure.
And they were projected 61.5, and undershot by 20.
Yeah, it is going to be interesting off the field stuff. Like the Wander Franco situation is still not resolved there in the Dominican.
Yeah, the Rays got killed by that.
They really did, and they have guys like a Junior Caminero, a Jose Caballero, who are really, really talented. But yeah, Wander Franco was set to be one of the best players
in the whole league.
Yeah, and then I'm not going to get into what the off the field stuff was with him, but yeah, he's probably never going to play baseball at this point. I think when
probably not in the majors.
Yeah, when the allegations first came out, that's what people said, and then it was like, well, let's see once he goes through due process. As far as the minor's mom said, like, oh no, it's all fine. Like I consented to it all, and anyway, that's not how the justice system works, as we all know. So yeah,
did you?
I don't know how it works down there.
I mean, that's also true. Well, it's been pushed back a lot, and the actual trial, and so it seems like it's been years now since we first heard of those accusations.
Did you see, JJ, the Alex Bregman contract today?
Yeah, the Cubs were in for it. I saw the Tigers were in for it, but the Cubs just didn't offer the same amount of years and money. But so the Red
he ended up
Sox,
settling
got
for
like
3.
Yeah, but $40 million a year.
Yeah,
is
I'll
pretty
take
good.
that $40 million a year.
And then you can get back on the market in a few years.
Yep.
Bregman's. he's a great player.
Yeah.
And
SEC, baby.
Yeah. The Astros have lost a
Did you go
few
to
guys this
Vanderbilt?
year.
Wasn't it Arkansas?
Okay, I'm not sure. College baseball is not exactly my
or LSU. It was
expertise.
LSU.
Okay.
I just knew it was SEC. There's another one.
It's all the same
who's
for you
pretty
guys.
good. Who's
SEC,
Arkansas?
SEC.
That is not the case. Either way. All right. I
Real
did
quick,
mention.
though,
Yeah.
there is a viral video coming out of
I know,
spring
I'm trying to
training in
find
Arizona.
this.
We'll go to my Twitter.
Okay.
It's the most recent tweet I have, and it's the Cubs, lovable losers that they are. Just one of the funniest drills. It gives me Florida State water gun vibes, which if you don't remember that, Florida State was filmed or recorded like shooting water guns at their players to help with, I don't know, like catching wet balls or like catching punts or something. I don't even remember what it was
in the rain,
for.
just in case.
Yeah. And so this is the Cubs pitchers. They're standing in front of a screen, and a guy is like softly hitting balls back to them. Basically, they're practicing like, if a ball gets hit back at you. But there's a screen up, so they're like fake fielding. I'm like, what are we doing here?
It is weird. It reminds me of
bad.
It reminds me of when you are sitting at a baseball game, like behind home plate, and a ball flies at you, and you like jump a little.
Yeah, but they have gloves. They're expecting it. Just field it. Like, how are you supposed to practice fielding without actually fielding
he's
the ball?
like fake pitching it too.
Yeah.
Like they fake pitch, he hits it, but it doesn't go anywhere.
I love it.
It's weird, yeah.
It's just a typical like.
That's a Jameis
spring
workout.
Yes, it is. A lot of doing nothing for you.
I'll give you our Terminix Pest of the Day in our final segment. You are listening to Helmets and Heels on 1010XL, 92.5 FM.
A new NASCAR season starts Sunday with the biggest race of them all.
And there's nobody that's better than Daytona.
The Daytona 500.
Tightened up by the Plumbers and Pipe Fitters Local Union 234 and Maxie's Mechanics.
On Jacksonville's NASCAR station 1010XL.
Don't miss the Players' Championship, March 11th through 16th at TPC Sawgrass. This can't-miss event features a variety of activities for every fan to enjoy, from delicious bites to the Sawgrass Splash. There are endless fan enhancements that will make for a memorable experience. Plus, watch the top PGA Tour players, including back-to-back champion Scotty Scheffler, take on the iconic stadium course featuring the famous Island Green. Tickets available at theplayers.com.
Jimerson Burr is a full-service, Florida-based commercial law firm dedicated to helping businesses manage risk, maximize opportunities, and move their company forward. Jimerson Burr attorneys are business-oriented lawyers, equally comfortable as community leaders, private transaction counselors, or courtroom advocates. If you have a legal issue of any kind affecting your business, contact the firm at 389-0050 or jimersonfirm.com.
Seminole Hard Rock Tampa is excited to bring you live craps, roulette, and sports betting. All under one roof, hotter than the Florida sun. Feel the luck of the dice. Watch the roulette wheel spin and scream for your touchdown as the big screen comes alive. Dine like a rock star. Sip cocktails that shimmer. Then dive into the heart of Las Vegas right here in Tampa Bay. Live craps, roulette, sports betting is here. Get in on the action now. Only at Seminole Hard Rock Hotel and Casino Tampa. Located off of I-4 near I-75. Gambling problem? Call 1-888-10-MINUTE.
Find out why soccer is the most popular game in the world and spreading fast on the First Coast.
On the Sporty Jack Soccer Hour.
Join Cole Pepper, Mauricio Ruiz, and Becky Burley as they discuss the latest in the world of soccer.
Tuesday nights at 6
on 1010 a.m.
Hi, I'm Karen, owner of Clay Solar Installation Partners, your local women-owned solar company. At Clay Solar, we're more than just panels and power. We're about people. We make the switch to clean energy simple, stress-free, and built to last. If you've had a bad experience with solar in the past, we can help. We specialize in dependable solutions and top-notch customer service, so you can finally enjoy the savings and sustainability you deserve. Schedule your free consultation at claysolar.com.
Jacksonville, get ready to spice up your night at One Night Taco Stand. Every Taco Tuesday, enjoy their mouth-watering tacos for just $2.99 and get your weekend started with 2-for-1 house margaritas. Find fresh Mexican street food, stiff drinks, and fun vibes at One Night Taco Stand with 3 Jacksonville locations in Mandarin, Orange Park, and Southside at Bay Meadows.
This is the Mangler. Years of playing football coupled with lifestyle left my feet mangled with neuropathy.
I was experiencing burning, tingling, and numbness. I spoke with 2 foot specialists, and they told me there was no cure. They were wrong. I found Dr. Nate Riddle in Ponte Vedra. After utilizing his neuropathy treatment for only 2 weeks, I noticed a difference in my feet. I was regaining my feeling and balance. If you want relief from nerve pain, call Dr. Nate for a free consultation at Riddle Wellness, 904-395-5598.
Have you got concrete or asphalt rubble piling up? Arcosa Crushed Concrete will pay you for it and recycle it. They're just minutes from Everbank Stadium on Talleyrand. Call Arcosa Crushed Concrete and get paid for what you don't need. ArcosaCrushedConcrete.com.
You don't have to be a football star to get a signing bonus. The team at Republic Services needs your skills, and they're paying up to $5,000 for you to join the roster. You'll be joining a winner. As an essential business, the Republic Services trucks have not stopped rolling with hourly and weekly pay and better benefits and vacation packages than the rest of the league. Driver trainees, $1,000 sign-on bonus. CDL drivers, $3,000. Diesel mechanics, $5,000 bonus. Join the winning team at Republic Services today. Visit republicservices.com.
Equal opportunity employer.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad Pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
Roses are red, violets are blue. A broken pipe? That's no way to woo. This Valentine's Day, don't let plumbing or HVAC problems ruin the romance. 904-862-6769 or online at duckduckrooter.com.
Mark Watson with Hardball Creative, here to share with you an actual client review.
Dude, these shirts are sick.
Check out the shirts and other sick promo items at hardballcreative.com.
Hardball Creative. Hardball does it all.
Need cash? Beaches Jewelry and Pawn has cash, and they're ready to buy guitars, surfboards, jewelry, firearms, tools, and especially gold. And gold market prices are at a record high. Get cash on the spot at Beaches Jewelry and Pawn in Jax Beach.
1010XL is presented by Farrah & Farrah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, the cool down from the cool guys at Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing. Fast, reliable, and honest service since '87.
All right, I'm going to cool down with something we were just talking about off air, because as we were talking about baseball, we also have to give some love to the Jumbo Shrimp, too, which us being baseball fans, I love going to Shrimp games. I also mentioned I'm going to the Notre Dame UNF game tomorrow, so that will be fun. A lot of baseball in my life starting now, pretty much, which I'm excited about. But
if surprised Notre Dame not ranked. Is that
yeah, well, they sucked last year because freaking Link Jarrett decided to leave us.
Okay.
But hopefully some things start to get better. There were moments later in the season where you started feeling like there were definitely some players who were stepping up into bigger roles later, and during the beginning it was awful. And so I think maybe that's some of it's just all of the changes that were happening, losing a coach that's had been there for a while and at the level that Link Jarrett was. But we will see. I don't really know what to expect for that tomorrow. Honestly, this will be kind of me getting thrown into that too. I was telling you guys it's my first college baseball game actually I've ever been to.
Very
so I'm
fun.
super excited for that.
Lots of scoring.
Everyone talks about that ding whenever I'm like, first college baseball game. Yes.
I would say it's more of a ping.
A ping.
Yeah.
A ping.
And I love both stadiums here locally. UNF and JU have awesome places to watch college baseball. UNF's is right there, main part of campus and easily accessible by the big parking lot there.
Right
close
next to the basketball arena.
Yep, next to the basketball arena, right by the beach volleyball courts. I don't know, JJ, the last time you've been on campus. But
oh, yeah, we had that.
Yeah, I said I'm going to Uber.
Because
I don't like dealing with that parking. I will also probably partake in some drinks also, so I'll just be safe.
Yep, but that helps UNF athletics every time that you do that. And I'll take a little bit of credit back when I worked at UNF. They used to sell beer. They never sold wine. I don't know if they still do, but my mom was like, I need some Chardonnay to see some college
Lauren's like, I've
athletics.
got it.
So I was on it. And like I said, I don't know if they still do, but after, hopefully they still serve both beer and wine at the athletic
Hopefully I
facilities.
do not spill it on myself like I did at the Iceman game. But speaking, so I was talking about the jumbo shrimp though. Their construction is moving along nicely. They did report. So if you do not know, they're building that whole new outfield area behind the outfield where there's going to be different seating options. There's going to be the team store back there. The main entrance is going to be in the outfield, which we were talking about makes sense because the parking is right behind that. And then also you get to kind of experience all of the outfield too, which a lot of people like to just go sit out there before anyways. There was the field and kind of left field where you can go and sit before is bleachers on the right. So those bleachers on the right-hand side will not be there any longer. That will be a bunch of different team stores and different type of, I'm guessing they're putting a bar out that way too. I think the Tiki Bar is staying. So there's still some of the stuff you love, but some newness. And they did say it's going to be ready April 1st. So you can start going to that team store April 1st and then get ready for the season. And it should be ready to go once game time.
And they have the best gear.
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
it's
absolutely.
fantastic. They do a fantastic job when it comes. We were just talking about the promos they do, like game day promos they do, but their merch is the best. I honestly, when I was in Chicago this last year in October, saw somebody rocking a jacket, a jumbo shrimp jacket and hat. And I was like, heck yes, I love it.
Yeah. Speaking of local baseball, so 10th ranked Florida plays host to Air Force. That starts tomorrow, that weekend series. Number 9, FSU plays host to James Madison tomorrow. First pitch, 5 p.m. JU plays host to 21st ranked West Virginia tomorrow at 6 p.m. And then, like we said, UNF plays host to Notre Dame tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. And John Sessions Stadium there on the campus of JU, right there overlooking the river. It's such a gorgeous facility as well. And so get out, watch some local college baseball starting tomorrow. I know the rotation for Florida will be Liam Peterson, Jake Clemente, and then Pierce Capola Friday, Saturday, Sunday for this weekend. And then we'll see how that looks moving forward. All right, I will tell you now our Terminix pest of the day. If you need any sort of pest, or if you have any pest issues at your home, contact Terminix, terminix.com, Terminix. We had some little ants. We've had carpenter ants in the past. Those are no fun whatsoever. So do what I do and contact Terminix. And there's a reason that they handle all the pest control for Everbank Stadium, Daly's Place, 1-to-1 Financial Ballpark that we were just talking about, the home of the jumbo shrimp, and so many more around town, all of your favorite event venues. Today's Terminix pest of the day. This one is a former Florida Gator, Kadarius Toney, arrested last week over allegations that he strangled a woman. Obviously, they are just allegations as of now, but usually when these things make news, there's a reason for that. And so we've said it so many different times on this program, Taylor. There's a reason that we do it a lot because we are all females here on Helmets and Heels, and domestic violence is not something that we stand for. Obviously, we will never. And so make sure that Kadarius, you're better moving forward. Yeah. And you can learn from your mistakes. It's not like just because you one time had a domestic violence dispute with someone that's going to be your reputation for
Forever,
life, or that's going to be your violent past is going to determine your future. It doesn't have to be that way.
Yeah.
You can learn from other people's experiences and errors and transgressions as well. But got to do better, Kadarius.
Yeah, and I've obviously spoke on that many times, and to your point about the changing, and this wasn't the exact same situation, but Jameis Winston is one of the perfect examples of this, of a lot of the early on stuff that a lot of people kind of held against him. There was a few situations, even into Tampa, the Uber situation. And so, but that is somebody that I have also vocalized, has put in a lot of effort in changing and being a better person, and has there's something to say for the guys who do that. And I'm not saying everything you ever do is okay, but people do change. And so I do think that when you hear stories like this, it's disappointing, honestly. It's one of the things where it's just like, here we go again, another altercation that we have to talk about, and it shouldn't be something we have to.
Yeah, and you're a 2-time Super Bowl champion. So at some point in time, you've got to learn that there's a responsibility that comes with the power and fame that you have as an NFL football player. Yeah. And as a former University of Florida, Gator, you want those guys. We talked about C.J. Gardner-Johnson yesterday and how the Swifties attacked his mom's restaurant with negative Yelp reviews. You want the former Gators or former Bulldogs or Knowles, whatever school, Ospreys, Dolphins, you want there to only be good stories about those types of people. Speaking of that, JU and UNF on the court tonight. North Florida takes on North Alabama at 7 p.m. That game is intriguing because North Alabama is one of those schools that is tied with JU at 9-3. JU taking on Central Arkansas at 7:30. Those other teams that are
in a four-way, right?
Yep. Those other teams that are in a 4-way tie. Lipscomb, North Alabama, Florida Gulf Coast. I just told you UNF takes on North Alabama. Lipscomb is playing host to Stetson tonight. Stetson is 5-7 in ASUN play. And then the other team, Florida Gulf Coast, is at Austin Peay. They are also 5-7 in ASUN play. So those games will be intriguing. I don't know if you were watching last night, Florida State, Wake Forest, but it came down to the final few seconds. FSU and Taylor Bowen hit a 3 with like 13 seconds remaining for FSU to take the lead. It was their first lead since it was like 13-10 early in that game. And so FSU, I loved this stat. FSU is 2-0 since Leonard Hamilton decided that he would retire at the end of the season. And so Ira Schofel, our friend who covers the Noles closely in Tallahassee, tweeted out, maybe he should have announced this earlier in the season. Now Leonard Hamilton has 198 ACC regular season wins in his career, 198. Wow. So he better get to that 200 point, that's for sure. And then, look, when it comes to Florida, obviously, we are going to wait and see what the news is with Alex Condon. And I heard Chris
There's
Harry,
no updates yet on... Because it was just the lower ankle sprain is what they ended up saying.
Low
but
ankle,
there's just
not a high ankle sprain. Yeah. And so Chris Harry joined Frank Frangie yesterday. If you're a Florida men's basketball fan, go back and listen to that if you missed it, because he has such great insight. He's really close to Todd Golden and really close to the team as well. But yeah, it's more of just like a wait and see, because any injury
those
like
ones
that
kind of suck.
Yeah, it's more of, I think, now that the x-rays were negative, it's more of a pain tolerance thing. And it's also, when do you need him? Florida just played 4 really difficult games, went 3-1. Now Florida takes on South Carolina, Oklahoma, LSU, and Georgia. None of those teams are ranked. And then Florida takes on Texas A&M, but that's March 1st. So you have certainly a couple weeks there before you take on another ranked team. And how much do you need him? Do you want to, if you're Todd Golden, do you want to test your other guys and see what they've got in the interim?
Which, and I think that's something that we talk about when it comes to the NFL too, is when that player is injured, do you rest and not take the chance of re-aggravating or making it worse, whatever the case may be? And I'm sure those are some of the things they're looking into. Is there a chance of making this injury worse if he plays on it sooner rather than later? And if you feel like you can win and get some of these depth pieces even more experience and still be able to win some games and then have him be 100% in a few weeks, that's probably the route I feel like they would want to go. But if they feel like they need him on the court, obviously that's something that you want to consider also.
I feel like I've been spoiled. The most recent Saturday games for Florida have all been day games.
Oh, yeah.
So you get to I have something to look forward to all day with the lack of football season now. Saturday night, I have to wait till 8:30 for tip-off against South Carolina. Come on, man. That's late. Although I guess if you're going from Jacksonville to Gainesville for the game, you have all day and then probably get a place to stay, and that'll be a lot of fun. All right. One other thing I wanted to mention when it comes to local sports, this one near and dear to my heart, the 3 teams that are local that are in the high school girls soccer state semifinals, one of them being Bishop Kenny.
Oh, yay.
That's right. Next Tuesday, Bishop Kenny takes on Bishop Moore in Orlando. That game is at 4 p.m. Like I said, on Tuesday, that's in the 4A. In 5A, Ponte Vedra Sharks take on North Fort Myers next Wednesday at 4 p.m. And then 6A, Bartram Trail takes on Sun Lake. That's next Thursday at 4 p.m. So all games at 4 p.m. But yeah, 3 different local teams made it to the state semifinals. That's farther than I ever made it. We made it to the regional finals, and then we lost. And it was miserable.
I can't imagine. I know how competitive you are. So I just picture you after a game like that, and probably not the most pleasant person to be around in that moment.
I mean, I will say soccer's a lot different than, let's say, tennis, where it's all on you, right? Or golf, unless you're playing a team golf event. It's literally like you're one of 11 out there, and you can only control what you can control, that kind of thing. I always played defense. I was usually the right back. And so I didn't feel as responsible if we didn't score, right? Like that, I was not that type of offensive defensive player. They have some of those in soccer where you actually attack a lot as a defender. That was not my skill set. Yeah. So I was always like, well, if I can prevent my man from scoring, then I've done my job. But when my person scored, then I was a very unpleasant human being.
I wanted to share something too. This is a little off topic, but I saw this earlier on Twitter, and it was when it kind of links to what we were talking about earlier, some of these NFL offseason storylines and moves that could potentially change some other things. So someone had reported that James Cook unfollowed the Bills and removed all of his Bills posts from his Instagram. And it said he also changed his profile picture, which was originally him in the Bills uniform, to just a generic picture. Number one, this bothered me so much when players do this. We've seen it a lot where all of a sudden they just erase the team forever. He's still on the Bills also. He has a contract through 2025. So there must be something going on with future negotiations or something in that. But it is that's just another running back that we're talking about. Does somebody try and go after James Cook in this? But to me, if I was the Bills, and this is some of the comments on this, people are like, oh, he wants $10 million. Don't pay him $10 million. If there's anything you learned from this last offseason, it's that it's worth it to pay a running back at this point. And he completely changed offensively what they were able to do and made Josh Allen have one, not saying that was directly all of him, because Josh Allen, the limited turnovers and stuff like that factored in, but having a true run game for the Bills this year helped them massively when it came to their offense. So I do think the Bills need to take a look at this and look at how much he helped, but maybe they're also saying, hey, there's a ton of running backs in the draft and we don't have to pay someone $10 million, but that's also another interesting name to kind of follow along.
Yeah, it's wild how much it's shifted. You can just draft any running back anywhere in the draft and you'll be fine, and you don't need to pay guys. And then this year, how different the conversation is moving forward. And like I said earlier in the week, it's helped a guy, I would think, like Ashton Genty, who might not have been drafted nearly as high. Yeah, if you missed it earlier today, Grant Udinski, the Jaguars' new offensive coordinator, the new defensive coordinator, Anthony Campanile, and then Heath Farwell, who's been retained as a special teams coordinator, all met with media. I was really intrigued. To me, defensive coordinators are always going to be feisty. Yeah. And I really enjoyed listening to Campanile describe what he wants from his defense here. But I was really intrigued by the 29-year-old offensive coordinator in Grant Udinski. Mm-hmm. And his sentiment that he repeated over and over is how excited he is.
Yeah.
And
very excited to work with Trevor.
Very excited to work with Trevor. Very excited to work with Liam. Very excited about Brian Thomas Jr. and the other pieces that are here. And the first question he was asked, Gene Fournette asked him if he had any misgivings because he's taking an OC job where he's not calling plays. And he said, absolutely not. But of course, what is he going to say? Maybe I should have taken a job where I can call plays.
I do think it honestly is probably beneficial and a win-win for not only him, but the Jaguars also, because you're not thrown into this world where all of a sudden you're having to be this play caller in your first stop as an OC, but you are able to now learn from someone like Liam Cohen, who has now had experience at college level and pro level calling plays, and you get to learn from him. So to your point, when we're talking about you don't ever want to lose coordinators, but it looks like that it could be a potential. They've used the word fast-tracked with him. Same with Kevin O'Connell, the way he fast-tracked through the NFL to being a head coach. And a lot of people say Udinski's kind of in that same path. So to him, it may be the perfect first stop, is just kind of learning and getting that experience without having to have the pressure of calling plays.
Absolutely. Let's say hello to XL Primetime.
Now, the 2-minute drill. Service by Cool Cats Heating and Cooling. Locally owned and operated. We're your neighbors. Find the coolest cats in town at coolcatsjacks.com.
Matt Hayes joins us. Matt, what'd you think of the coordinator presser this morning? Specifically, Grant Udinski and Anthony Campanile, since they're new.
So it is officially Campanile.
Yes. That's how we've been saying it. That's how he said it in a video, so that's how we've been saying it.
We have the video. we can play it.
We have video. Yes. That's where we are right now in 2025.
They said, how do you say it? And he said his name that way. So, Campanile.
That's what we're going with.
Young guys, a lot of energy. Let's see what happens. I mean, I've been saying all along, they've tried everything else.
Yeah.
Right now, I think there's a lot of people in this city right now that they're cautiously optimistic because, they've been through this, whatever you want to call it before, this ordeal, this same story over and over and over.
The washing machine.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think they're cautiously optimistic, but I also think there's a sense of realism there, too, that, look, what the hell else are we going to do? We've tried everything else, right?
Yeah, it's something I actually said that a couple weeks ago when the hiring of Liam Cohen first came up, Matt, and I said they tried the college coach that maybe this great college coach can transfer over. That failed. We tried the former Super Bowl winning head coach. That failed. So the next thing you can do is this young guy and hope that you hit on this next young up and coming guy.
Right, and that word, hope, is not a plan. Okay, it's just not. In situations like this, I love hope. I love having hope. It's great. But it's not a plan. And I think what they're doing right now is at the very least, you've got a plan. We are going forward with a new young group of guys that are showing us a different way to look at the NFL. And there's nothing wrong with that. Hopefully it works. Hopefully it changes everything, and the entire situation down there from top to bottom changes, and everybody sees football a different way. When Urban Meyer came, my whole thing was, you know what? He's going to force them to see football a different way. And he didn't. And he didn't. He it just didn't. It didn't work in any way, shape, or form. It didn't work. Hopefully, that's what these young guys will do. They will force everyone in that building, every scout, every personnel guy, everyone associated with the team. No, you should look at it this way.
The way I said it, Matt, was we used to say in Tom we trust, right? Back in 2017. Now it's in Tony we trust, because when Shad made the Urban Meyer hire, I'm not sure who he was consulting around the league to make that hire. I think NFL people laughed at that. And then in hiring Doug Peterson, I don't know that NFL people, after the way things ended in Philly, I don't know that NFL people would have said that they endorsed that exactly, right? Especially if he was bringing Pest Taylor, because again, how things ended. And so that, at least to me now, Tony Boselli is there. He's connected in the NFL. And so, yeah, we hope it's all going to work. And that's what we have until September. What's coming up?
No, not September, April. Because that's when you really start assessing what these young dudes are doing.
To me, it's really late July. Training camp, although last year, training camp, I thought this team was going to be good. So what do I know?
See, with me, it's a draft. This is the way I feel. I feel like we're going to get a very good idea of what's going on with this group of young guns, whatever
if they
we
get
want to
guard, tackle.
but if they figure out the draft like previous iterations of whatever we want to call this Jaguar Brash hasn't, and historically they have not, then you're like, all right, then you're excited about camp. Then you're excited about moving forward. You're excited about, all right, maybe this thing can be turned quickly. If they go through a draft and they pick a few guys and you're like, what in the world did they just do? Then it's, we'll see.
All right, we're cutting time into XL Prime Time. So thank you so much.
We'll get into all that, believe me.
Excellent. We'll be listening for Taylor Dahl, for JJ LaSelva, who did a great job filling in for RJ Saunders, for the vacationing Mia O'Brien. I'm Lauren Brooks. These heels are made for talking. We will talk to you tomorrow on a Feel Good Friday, but don't go anywhere. XL Prime Time is next.
I was put on this planet for one